Some drivers out there for Uber and Lyft are weary of trying to sign up for pandemic unemployment assistance because they fear that Uber and Lyft may try to use that against them, especially in California, where they want to be considered employees over independent contractors. So they think that these companies are going to use that information against them down the road. And that's what we're going to be talking about right now. Hey everyone, Chris here from Real Rideshare Stories. If you're new to the channel and you're looking for different things within the rideshare industry, whether it's updates to what's going on, news, tips and tricks for passengers and drivers, or what actually happens on real rideshare rides, start now by hitting that subscribe button and ring the bell for notifications. Also make sure to check the description below for other helpful information and tips. So we are talking about unemployment again, but this time, instead of having problems with the state setting things up or people not getting paid, no, this is on the other side where drivers are actually fearful of trying to sign up for unemployment benefits because they think that this will help further Uber and Lyft's positioning on calling its driving force independent contractors when these drivers want to be considered employees. So there are some people who are not trying to file for unemployment because of that reason. And this is heavily impacted more so in California than anywhere else, but other states could be seeing this as well too when it comes down to it, especially states that have legislation maybe in the works already, like New York State does. So this article right here is from CNBC. Link will be in the description below, so if you want to check this out and read it in full, then you absolutely can. It's titled, "Some Uber, Lyft drivers fear companies will use unemployment benefits against them." And so it goes right into a person who goes by the name Leonardo Diaz, who's in a tough spot. Diaz, who is a driver for Uber and Lyft, has been unemployed for more than 2 months, and he hasn't picked up any rides for fear of contracting COVID-19 and then in turn infecting his family. He lives in LA and is also afraid to apply for unemployment benefits, as nearly 39 million Americans have done since mid-March amid to this whole pandemic. So he's torn on if he wants to apply or not. Because he thinks that it could have a problem down the road. So on one hand, he needs the financial assistance, but on the other, he thinks applying for unemployment could undermine his and other Californians' fight against Uber and Lyft and other companies in the gig economy to be considered employees instead of independent contractors. I feel like they'll take advantage of what's going on with COVID-19 and then say, you see, they're independent contractors, Diaz said. So then it goes on to talking about employees versus independent contractors and talking about AB5, where they're talking about a few things when it comes to that. They're also talking about the expanded unemployment benefits with that whole $2.2 trillion pandemic unemployment assistance and stimulus package, also known as the CARES Act. And then it's talking about a little bit more when it comes to personal finance and stuff like that. So they're talking about how Diaz and other drivers fear the gig economies will view an application for PUA benefits as an admission that they are, in fact, independent contractors instead of employees, since workers self-certify that they're self-employed on a PUA application. So employees receive jobless benefits through state's traditional unemployment system, not the new PUA program. And that's kind of where the whole holdup is. So it says drivers fear the PUA applications could be used in California court to undermine the state's new employment law and in other states like New York where they're trying to get a similar law passed. Yay, New York. While some labor attorneys believe their concern is valid, others think the threat is overblown. And right here, I want to break this and ask you, what do you think? Do you think that this is a problem that drivers should really be paying attention to, or do you think that it's going to be overblown? Comment below and let me know. So it says people should be reassured, said Michael Bernick, an attorney at corporate law firm Duane Morris. I can't imagine the companies in any state discussions or initiatives saying, look, by filing for PUA, you agreed that you were an independent contractor. That's just not realistic. So then it talks about legitimate fear. Ismail Perez, a full-time Uber and Lyft driver, applied for PUA benefits in California before hearing from a local group, the Mobile Workers Alliance, of the potential risk. Perez, who lives in the city La Habra Heights, started receiving weekly unemployment payments of $767, which counts for the $167 from the state and $600 supplement by the federal government. So he's afraid that applying for PUA benefits will cost him thousands of dollars in back pay he believes he's owed by the ride-sharing company for overtime hours as an employee, in addition to setting back the broader driver movement. So not only is California also has something in place where you can try to get damages and back pay seeked, but they think that this could cause some issues when it comes to that as well. So it says, my concern is, will it pose a threat to my labor dispute, said Perez, 42. And furthermore, moving forward, does that jeopardize my employee rights as well? Julia Rosner, an employment attorney at Legal Services NYC, said it's absolutely a legitimate fear. And it's sort of conceding a point they don't want to concede, she said. So it says, but gig workers in California may feel they have no choice. They could apply for the state's traditional unemployment insurance benefits meant for employees and appeal a rejection by claiming they were misclassified as independent contractors instead, Rosner said. An appeal, however, could take months, especially as state unemployment offices are overwhelmed with millions in applications each week. That's a tough situation where many need the money right now. Drivers are struggling big time because they need the money. Diaz said it's hard. So then there's other places that aren't concerned at all, and you want to get the other side of things. So it says not all drivers are necessarily concerned, though. The Protect app-based drivers and service coalition represents 56,000 drivers for companies like Uber, Lyft, Instacart, DoorDash, and other gig economies. The group supports a ballot initiative in November that would lead to drivers to be reclassified as independent contractors. Stacey Wells, a spokeswoman for the campaign, which is funded by gig companies, called the notion of drivers being afraid a false narrative and said companies have been working hard to support their workers around applying for unemployment benefits. Companies wouldn't have any way of knowing which specific drivers applied for PUA, she said. They also haven't tried retaliating against drivers who were outspoken during the push to pass AB 5, said Wells, who questioned why drivers would think the situation would be different with unemployment. Plus, for instances where independent contractors apply for traditional unemployment insurance, the state in many cases will automatically convert it into a PUA claim, meaning that worker wouldn't be making an active choice to apply for PUA, said Bernick, a former director of the California's Employment Development Department. So Matthew Wing, a spokesman for Uber, also wanted to reassure drivers. Congress fully funded the pandemic unemployment assistance program for gig workers so that every state, many of which face historic deficits, could give these workers immediate financial support at no cost to their own state funds, he said. Uber has also created online guides in each state to help drivers and delivery people apply for unemployment, he added. A spokesperson for Lyft didn't respond to a request. Ultimately, labor attorneys think drivers rest on solid legal footing despite their fears. Julie Su, California's labor secretary, said in an April 14th memo that self-certification of eligibility for PUA unemployment benefits does not affect determinations of employee status under state law for other protections and benefits. The letter is likely that's all necessary for a California court to dispose of any potential argument resulting from PUA benefits, said William Sokol, a labor attorney with the Weinberg, Roger, and Rosenfield, who's based in the Bay Area. They will try every trick their lawyers can find in the book to avoid paying their workers decent wages and the benefits all their employees must receive by law, Sokol said. Similarly, Corey Huzak, a government relations manager at the Washington Center for Equitable Growth, a left-leaning think tank, said California workers are on very firm ground, and that is in quotes. But that doesn't mean gig companies won't eventually try leveraging drivers' PUA classification in court. Anything's possible in court, and PUA is a new program, so I can't say definitively, no, they won't, he said. So as you can see, this is going to have a varying degree of opinions when it comes to different legal experts who have weighed in within that article itself. So you see at least one person saying, yeah, it could be a real problem, while you have more of the other people's opinions saying it could be a problem, but chances are it's very unlikely, and in court anything is possible. Yeah, Uber and Lyft and any of the other gig companies will try to do everything they can, but when it comes down to it, chances are it probably won't have any impact on you as a driver who applied for PUA. So again, I want to know what your thoughts are. If you waited to comment below, then I'll comment below what your thoughts are. Do you think that this could be a real cause of concern? Do you think that it'll have any implications on the California fight in employee versus independent contractor? Do you think this will have any impact on other states like New York? Comment below and let me know. In my opinion, and I am no legal expert, but in my opinion, I would have to agree with the legal experts that say you probably don't have anything to worry about, although, like I said, they could use anything in court. But I'm probably going to say that, yeah, it's not going to have much of an impact if they try using it, and those things could probably get thrown out. So if I were you, I would say go and apply for unemployment, especially if you haven't been working for several months and not making any money. If you have other jobs or other things lined up, or you've done something in between and you're making a good income, then you don't have to worry about it. But for those who haven't been working and may be going through their spendings like crazy, then you might want to consider doing it. But again, it's going to be up to you and what your decision is if you are a driver who is on the fence about applying for unemployment or not. Now that's the end of this video. Make sure you subscribe and ring the bell for notifications so you'll be notified every time a new video is uploaded. Also make sure to check the description below for other helpful information and tips. And as always, never drink and drive. Always tip your drivers, your delivery drivers, and your shoppers. And we'll see you next time.